I just want to move on. I'm going to jump in there. Let's talk about the vaccine concern, of course. Deaths of up to 30 people in Norway. Now, authorities very cautious here. They're saying this was administered to some people quite old with underlying health conditions as well. How much does the government need to assure people, and can it indeed, Julian, that the risk here is low and the TGA is going to tread very carefully?
Well, the TGA, the fact is the TGA is treading very carefully. Because we've managed the pandemic relatively well compared to other overseas countries, we've had the ability to take the time that we need for the TGA to properly assess the efficacy and safety of these vaccines. So let the TGA do the work. The only one who wasn't prepared to do that is Anthony Albanese, who's been calling for a faster rollout. The WhatsApp.
Well, hang on. Can you point to me where Anthony Albanese said, let's not go through the proper processes with the TGA? Did he ever say that?
Well, he's certainly been doing press conferences calling on the vaccine to be rolled out faster, and the reality is we have been taking a process which allows the TGA to take the time to assess the efficacy. So unless you want to truncate that process, how else does Anthony Albanese want to roll it out faster?
Well, you can have more vaccines, I suppose. You have more vaccines. How
Anthony Albanese is going to explain that to his caucus at a time when his leadership's in a bit of trouble. I'd hate to think how Graham Perrett's going to show up his leadership and explain that to the caucus.
Graham Perrett,
Julian,
how does this happen faster?
Yeah. Julian's leader said clearly, loudly, lots of press releases that we're at the front of the queue in terms of world vaccines. They have not managed this right. They haven't managed the risk right.
Well, Graham, are you saying that TGA shouldn't take the time to assess it? The TGA hasn't approved it yet.
No, of course not, Julian.
So how can you roll it out? How can you say the Prime Minister should have rolled it out already?
Julian, your press conference champion, the Prime Minister, said we're at the front of the queue. Look around the world at the millions of people that have been vaccinated. How many of them are Australian? The government has stuffed it up. Now, we need to look at what's happening in Norway, obviously, and look at all of the data, but you can't say that they've managed the risk appropriately.
When you say a lot of people have already been vaccinated, let me just jump in there, Julian.
Hasn't done the right thing.
Let me ask you this, Graham Perrett. You say that millions around the world have been vaccinated, Australians haven't. They've only been vaccinated under emergency provisions. Are you saying Australia should now be vaccinating under an emergency provision rather than a full and final approval by the TGA?
No, I'm saying that we were told by the Prime Minister very early that we're at the front of the queue. Well, they're just your Prime Minister's words, Julian. He said we're at the front of the queue in terms of vaccinations. They've gone with 3 rather than spreading the risk. I understand that getting the vaccines right is a difficult process and the logistics of rolling it out, but I do not have a lot of confidence in the people that brought us sports rorts, the people that brought us Robodebt, all of those things. This is the same government.
But do you have confidence in the TGA, Graham?
Health decisions.
I want to drill down on this point because you're saying that millions of people around the world have had the vaccine, Australians haven't. Aren't we still guided by, and perhaps there could be more vaccines down the track, perhaps there'll be a dose issue with Pfizer, but right now, if Australians were getting vaccinated, it would be under emergency provisions. It would be before the final and full approval by the TGA.
And as Anthony Albanese has made very clear, we should follow the medical advice. And obviously our medical advice goes through the prism of the TGA. I'm sure Greg Hunt has done everything that he possibly could to make sure that that process is expedited. I haven't heard him sort of go through those details, but I take you back to the comments made by Scott Morrison last year that when it came to vaccines, we were ahead of the rest of the world, ahead of the queue. That does not bear out what we're seeing in Australia in January of 2021.
All right. I just wanted to touch on a final point to do with this and some interesting comments, Julian, from Gladys Berejiklian, looking at not allowing some people, or indeed any people that refuse vaccines, perhaps into venues. It could include pubs, perhaps into workplaces. What do you think of this and any effect it will have, positive or negative, on people getting a vaccine?
Yeah, well, look, I want to preface my comments by reinforcing the fact that the government said that the vaccine is going to be voluntary. It's up to people whether they want to take it. We're going to be encouraging people to take the vaccine. I'm going to take it. It's the moment I'm offered it in a heartbeat. But I was thinking about this. I support what what the Premier's saying here, because I'm thinking about these as small businesses in terms of pubs and clubs in particular, hospitality venues. We know what happens when they have a COVID flare-up. We've seen in the last couple of months they have to shut down, they get publicly named, they have to go through the cost of cleaning and new food and all the rest of it, and then encouraging people to come back. In terms of small businesses being able to protect their own livelihoods, I'm not adverse to them encouraging people to come to their premises who have had the vaccine, or in fact saying that only people who have had the vaccine can come.
All right. Nearly out of time. Just quickly, your thoughts, Graham. Are you comfortable with what's a bit of old-fashioned coercion, I guess?
Well, it's a contract arrangement, and I do agree with Julian on that. I am wary. We are a herd, so obviously the herd works best when as many people are protected as possible. We've seen with no jab, no pay, the benefits that come from vaccination for children and how that has changed behaviour. I am particularly wary of some of Julian's LNP colleagues who are peddling misinformation about COVID and vaccines. I would hope that Greg Hunt and Scott Morrison take a more sensible approach and convince as many people as possible. And like Julian, I'll be signing up for a jab as soon as possible.
We're out of time. We'll end on that gentle dig, if I could suggest that. Graham Perrett, Julian Simmons, thanks for your time as ever.